سلام دوستان، تانیر وکیلی هستم از شهر کوپرتینو کالیفرنیا. اینجا شهری هستش که من تحصیل کردم، شرکتم اینجاست و سالهای سال اینجا زندگی کردم. خدمت استاد besiyor عزیزم سینتیا کافمن hastım. Şun خودشون معرفی خواهند کرد. Sevgili arkadaşlar merhabalar. Ben Taner Vakili. Kopertino şehrinden bu yayını sizi yayınlıyoruz. Çok sevgili hocamın yanındayım. Sayın Cynthia Kaufman. Kendisi birazdan İngilizce kendisini tanıtacaktır. Bu İngilizce yayını da siz Türkçe altyazı olarak görebilirsiniz. Okay. Hi Cynthia.
Hi.
This is Taner Vakili from Cupertino. We are gonna have some very interesting podcasting with one of the people that I admire and respect a lot. Cynthia is she's my teacher and also someone that I always discuss the political action that I take in Silicon Valley and the social activism protect for minority people that I have done for 6-7 years. Also the matters of the refugees that I do in Turkey. So Cynthia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So, as you said, my name is Cynthia Kaufman, and I'm the director of the Vasconcelos Institute for Democracy and Action, which is called VIDA. And it's a space where students learn how to get the skills they need to make a difference in their communities.
So we are also, I see myself as a community of VIDA. So we are promoting the leadership here as well. Like,
right.
May I ask if I am the only Iranian Turkish who joined the program, or like with the very unique background? Do we have any other Iranian or Turkish student who applied for VIDA?
I don't think so. I don't think we have had, definitely no Iranian Turkish, and I don't know that we've had Turkish or Iranian.
Okay.
We have a lot of Pakistani students right now, and we've had students from all over the world. We have some Chinese, Vietnamese.
This is one of the problems that we have with the Iranians in California in general. They really don't want to get to politics, especially after the revolution. Right. I know that you have some friends from the people who are in exile from. So this is something that I really would like to overcome. I know that they will get in trouble in the Iranian government, and they really don't want to have that. But if they don't get involved with political action and civic life in California, unfortunately, they will have a short time to represent what the problem that any Iranian may face, or any Iranian American may face. For example, yesterday when I landed in LAX, I had a very rough time, especially after all of these sanction matters about Iranians. And I wouldn't blame the people who are working there, because specifically the authorities dictating them to go and be very careful with the male people in age of 20 to 40, 45. And like, you know, in one point I said, you know, you can keep all of my documents, I don't care, but like there are people that I need to pay, just please let me go and just finish my project about my business with them, and then I will come back. And then like they become more friendly when they see, like, you know, I am someone who have some business here, or like have some American things. I'm not too close to my Iranian identity. Anyway, how would you briefly explain the ethnical background of the student? I mean, I believe the video program with no intention give the priority to undocumented students. Is that correct, or
no? I wouldn't say that. No, I would say that we are especially interested in helping our students who come from our most marginalized communities, but that's quite a number of people, right? And so, and there isn't really any priority. In other words, anybody who wants to be involved in our program can be involved, but we do a lot of, because we have a resource center for undocumented students, our program is quite known to them.
I'm not sure if this is the right place to ask you about this, but I would like to really see, I don't know how to put it in the way without not offending anyone, but I would like to have like a general event that anyone can come and get to know Vida. I think
we just did that last week. We had an open house and we did outreach all over campus and went and talked to people in different programs and things like that, and it was good. They came and it was fun. You know, there was food and games and things to get to know each other, so it was good.
I have to mention this, and probably it's very funny. Cynthia failed me in her class. Unfortunately,
I didn't.
This is the mentality of students.
You didn't do your work.
Yeah, this is the mentality of students. When they get A's, it's always they get the A, and when they fail, this is the teacher. Always failing them.
Just saying.
So when you're playing the victim, it's much easier to not take the responsibility. But I believe I was in the middle of my immigration process, and I lost my mom, and in that class I did very bad. I did like bad stuff, and I was very aggressive about stuff that I faced. And if any of the classmates that I have during that time are watching this video, I give my sincere apology to all of you guys. One of the problems that we are facing right now is American image is so broken in Middle East, especially because I live in Turkey and I'm doing a lot of work, and that work's involved with a lot of different community. You know, Turkey become one of the hub center for refugees,
right?
And we have refugees all around from the neighbor countries, and they blame American government for the process of their immigration, and they are not aware that Trump is blocking European Union to accept the immigrants for the refugee status.
Right.
How would you like to understand? I mean, like, how you would explain your frustration about or foreign policy about the American government?
That's a really big question. I would say, but I understand it completely. So I first got involved in being politically aware around objecting to U.S. policy in Central America. So it's a big part of who I am, is objecting to all of that. So what can I say except that the United States is an imperial power, and it uses that power in really negative ways, and that's just true, and it's been true, I would say, throughout certainly the whole post-war period, the post-World War II period. The U.S. has played a terrible and very aggressive and very active role in international politics, and it's awful, and it doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. I think the Republicans can be a little worse, but Obama was terrible in that as well, right? I mean, he destroyed Libya. So, and he destroyed the country of Honduras, which is now sending us refugees, and people are not understanding why.
And I'm very fearful that the current administration, if they are going to be re-elected in 2020, they are going to attack Iran. I mean, this is going to be a disaster, because Iran is the only country who are playing the balance in peace in Middle East. And if they go to war with Iran, like the way they did in Iraq, to just take the source of that country for oil and for that kind of stuff, we are going to have a very huge problem.
Yeah, see, I don't think that's going to happen, because I feel like with the current administration, they might go to war with Iran, but it would not be for resources. It would be to distract things in this country, because when there's a war, everybody gets behind the president. And so I actually am very concerned, and I agree with your concern, that this country Trump might provoke a war with Iran just at that moment when he needs to get everybody all excited and in that fearful war kind of a mentality.
I didn't want to put it in this video, but I know that you are very active in Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and you're totally behind Palestinians on that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to travel to Israel?
Yeah.
You can travel there, right?
Yeah.
When was the last time you went there?
Oh, I've never been there. No, I've never been to Israel. No, and
because I'm not allowed. I mean, I'm not allowed to travel to Israel in both ways. I'm like, I will have a lot of problem in my government. Probably I will go to the jail if I travel to Israel.
Yeah.
And then when I land to Israel, the way that they treat me in America, which is more liberal than Israel, is like because just I have a Palestinian flag in my Instagram or Facebook and WhatsApp, they just bring that as excuse, and they say, we are fear that you have some radical or you have some hardcore reason to come to this country. Right. But and that's funny because we say we have a freedom of speech here,
yeah,
and then we cannot just stand one picture.
yeah,
You know. But that being said, as far as I know, Netanyahu is a very, very corrupted president.
Oh yeah.
And he's abusing the name of Iran and the conflict and the fear of Iran to just stop the people who are trying to remove him from the position. Is that correct?
I know, I completely agree with that.
Like, so I think Trump is doing the same thing. I mean, like,
that's
wants to cover the Russian and FBI investigation.
Right.
And the more he just play on the role of Iran, I'm not defending...
No. People like that need an enemy. And I understand, right? You're not defending the Iranian government, but people like that, nationalists, and this is happening all over the world, right? These sort of right-wing authoritarian nationalist leaders try to find an enemy or somebody, right, to get everybody all excited and to come together as a group. That's how nationalism works, right? And that's what's happening in Europe. It's terrifying. And it's what's happening in a lot of countries all over the world. It's happening in India.
So I think this is in the hands of people like me and you to prevent the implementation of another big war, or because Iran is shifting toward China now, and like Iran is becoming a very bad market for Chinese worst product ever. So people are paying the effect of sanction in their healthcare, in their agriculture, in their daily food, and like it's very depressing.
Yeah.
And like, I think this center is a very good place that we can express our voice and just explain to the world. Especially, I really would like to send this message to my Turkish friend or the people who live in Turkey, that the people like Cynthia or American people in general doesn't really know what's happening in like the Middle East. You know, they are not politically involved, and like at least they don't face or they don't feel the pressure, the economic pressure that, you know, because Turkish was like in the unofficial sanction for 2 years, and like that's why the economic is really facing a lot of problem for daily people. And unfortunately, Erdogan is blaming America instead of taking the responsibility for her own policy by attacking Syria or by taking the country to the place that every foreign or Western investor left Turkey. And it's easier to blame America, and then we have some sort of, unfortunately, hate against American people. I mean, I can say for the last 2 years, the amount of American tourists that came to Turkey, which is like an ally country, dropped to almost maybe 2 or 3%. And that's scary because like Turkey is the only Muslim country who have a Western implication for so many years. And Turkey was a model and some sort of place that we can say, okay, Muslims can also have some sort of say with Western countries. And when I don't see Americans, like that's really bothers me. That's why I'm inviting you to come to Turkey. If you can.
Maybe one of these days.
I'm not sure if you have any plan for Christmas, but
yes, I do.
So maybe in the break in between the winter quarter and spring quarter, I just invited George, the OPS.
Great.
He said he's gonna come to Turkey. Maybe you can come.
That's awesome.
I know that you cannot travel to Iran. There is some sort of prohibition for academic. If you're an academician, you cannot travel to Iran.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, for 3 years, I did a lot of things in my country. Especially, I believe tourism can help to get the people and cultures together. And I was hoping you, Edmondo, can come. George, come and see. Melissa also, the director of the Math Touring Center. You come and see where Tanya comes from and where Tanya went to high school or elementary school and the university. But I promise you, if you come to my Boğaziçi University, you're gonna love it. It's on top of the hill, the Asian side and the other side, and like it's the best view that you may see in your life. I can tell you that.
Cool.
And then we will go to Kastamonu, which is the sister city for the project that we do for refugee people we are trying to enroll refugee kids and also people with disability to play basketball and sports and just lose their tension on daily stress life.
That's
so
good.
I would like to see you there. I mean, like, it will be. Have you been to Turkey by any chance?
No, I've never been to Turkey.
And
I've only been as far as Greece.
You've never been to Iran at all, right?
No.
Do you have any desire to see that part of the?
Yeah, one of these days. Yeah, when things are maybe a little easier over there.
I assume that you have a lot of Iranian friends. Do you have any Turkish friends by any chance? Or like?
Do I have any Turkish friends? Not friends. I mean, I've known Turkish people. You know.
Like, would you like to talk about your Iranian friends a little bit? I mean, if you don't mind, we can skip this question.
Sure. No, that's fine. I was telling Tanya that I had a student years ago who I stayed close with for a number of years, but I haven't seen her in a while. But who was
no name, please. That's
who had been active and tortured actually under the Shah's regime, and then was active in the revolution, and then was also tortured under the Khomeini regime, and ended up, her husband was killed in prison, she was in prison and ended up getting out and came here and studied, and she was a really strong student and very passionate about the possibility of democracy in Iran.
I can say Iran is more democratic than Turkish. I didn't want to get to this point. I might be in trouble in my country just by saying this, but no problem. You touched a very important point, Cynthia. And it's very sad that when refugees come to America, especially to states in the middle of America, they are being questioned and judged by the action of the government. I mean, they came here
to get away
from a war, all of the things. And it's very difficult. At least I witnessed that in Turkey with all of the best support of Turkish people to make it easy for refugees. When you don't have any money and then you don't have job, and especially Turkey, the places that the refugees live is in small cities who, it's not industrialized and unemployment is high, and I cannot imagine how hard they have to stay strong and be hopeful. And when they come here, instead of welcoming them in the way that they welcomed me back in 2001, we have, they are not being enrolled in American life.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's very sad that they are being judged by the way they look or the way they come from, especially when they need the full support to recover from.
But I think what you said is also important, which is that it depends on where you are in this country. I think this area is actually quite good at integrating refugees. So, right now the Trump administration doesn't let in very many refugees, and that's in itself a huge, terrible thing. But in this area, in the Silicon Valley, actually a huge amount of work is done to integrate refugees. And I actually think that the life is not bad, that people find connections and there's resources and that there's a reasonable amount of kindness. Don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, thanks to the people like you who always were active, especially East Bay people from Berkeley, who are lefties and who are always have the socialism approach to defend minorities. We have a lot of things that we can say we don't have anywhere else anywhere in America.
That's true.
The Silicon Valley and the Bay Area is a very unique place. Maybe that's the reason technology can evolve so easily here, because people are much closer here. They're diverse. Are you agree?
No,
I know that you don't like the corporate.
Here's why. Because some of look, the very early days of technology, there were some very idealistic, very socialistic kind of people, the ones who started with Linux and all that kind of thing, right? They were very, very creative. And so I do think that sort of creative spark in the Bay Area is part of the very origins. And then came a layer of, I would say that related somewhat to defense contracting, politically libertarian, meaning capitalism can do what it wants and no government control. And so we have these horrible monopolies right now, and they don't hire people of color. So I right now think of technology
that's
as
been
a
changed.
nightmare.
I mean, last year we had a I'm not sure if you were there or not, but we had Ryan, I guess I forgot his name.
Brian Murphy, our president? No.
No. It was a very fine gentleman from the CIS department who gathered all of this diverse Google employment, and they came to the campus and they had. That's a process, don't you think?
No, it's a process that we're not in. It would be a process, but they're not in that process. They hire. I haven't seen it. There's a lot of talk about it right now because it's embarrassing to them how white they are. But I have not seen.
So you're saying that there's a white supremacy in Silicon Valley?
Huge. And it's a different kind of white supremacy, right? It's not like we hate you because you're a refugee or an immigrant or a person of color, but we're not going to hire you unless you went to Yale or Harvard or Berkeley. And that ends up being white supremacy and a very particular kind of white culture. So
could we agree to not disagree on this?
Sure. Happy to let it go.
Because like Iranian community are one of the very successful community here, and they have a lot of startups who are successful.
Yes.
They are very progressive in the way of education. I believe it's two-way avenue.
Tanya, before we agree to disagree, I just want to dig in a little deeper on that, which is that Silicon Valley has lots of Indian engineers. They have lots of Iranian engineers. They have a lot of people who got an excellent education somewhere in sort of the Middle East to Asia kind of part of the world. But they don't hire African Americans and Latinos who grew up in this country. That's a different problem. If you got a good engineering degree and a good engineering skills from one of those countries, and so much of your part of the world has very good technical education.
Okay. Just because you said that, we have a very interesting. I know that we have this another 3 or 4 minutes. We have a very. Would you like to explain what's the meaning of this hand?
That's not universal. I think it's a universal.
For Turkish or Iranian people.
So it just means power. It's usually sort of a radical symbol. It especially started with the Black Power movement in the late 1960s, the Black Panthers. So just the raised fist means people's power.
So, just that being said, one of the people that I look after is Malcolm X. And the very unique thing about Malcolm X is he accepted that he was racist, right? After his travel to Mecca, he had been racist. And then he was being killed, most probably because he switched his point of view.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is that I would like you to consider to be more positive about what we are creating here in Vida.
I'm super positive about it.
Maybe 5 years from today, the students that we create in this community can do that change, the way that Malcolm X did.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, and this is my perspective, I hope that nobody is going to take this personal. I'm just going to put it in this way. Right now, American government put a lot of pressure on Iranian regime.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to just think about it in a very different perspective. And I can tell you easily, by the experience that I have and by my mentality, we are very proud that we are one of the very fewest country in the world and in Middle East that we are standing beside that pressure of American corporation. And we are not letting them to abuse our oil or resources.
Right.
But I can assure you, Cynthia, if we had Iranian people in power and the Iranian government, the current government or the Shah or the one before, like the times of Khamenei or that empire, we wouldn't have the mercy in the way that current American justice system has toward Iranian minorities or Iranian people. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, I lost you at the end.
If we would change, like if we would say America was in the position of Iran, much smaller country with much international power. The Iranian government would take Americans as a slave. I can tell you.
Oh, well, yeah.
Like, very easily they can say like.
Yeah.
So,
when I say that we're this huge, horrible, terrible imperial power, it doesn't mean that other countries wouldn't do the same if they had the right. But when you have a kind of a carrying democratic regime, then you don't need to be an empire and destroy other countries.
So the reason that I brought this up is that if those Silicon Valley companies, which I respect a lot, at least the mentality of what they brought to this world and explained very quickly, are not hiring the black or Latinos, in my opinion, Latinos also have to think why they are not so united in a way like other communities. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but I don't think I agree with you. I mean, I really think that in this country, the racism against those communities is really severe, and their educational opportunities are terrible. And then when they work really hard and get through Berkeley or Stanford and get their technical degree, they're seen in a negative way by those companies and not given fair opportunities.
Let me just put it in a different perspective. I mean, we are just discussing. I'm not trying to enforce my point of view. How many Latinos like Edmundo, who are graduated from Harvard, would come back giving up all of the power he can have in the corporation and other places, come back and serving the community in a way that he will, train leaders. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, like, what I would say is that those, if you just take those two, actually African American...
I'm saying like 70%, I agree with you on that perspective, but 30% of that spot is from the people who are getting to those important positions and they give up about the problems and the poorness.
People who sell out to their community. Yeah, but what I would say is that generally, I feel like in this country that's not a serious problem. In other words, it's not that there are huge numbers of people who come from low-income communities of color who then sort of sell out and betray their communities. I don't think that that's a serious problem.
Just to put an end for this, we can discuss it later again. We are going to have a lot of podcasts if I'm not going to get in trouble in Iran. But just because you said that, I will take the responsibility for this, and if Vida agrees with my proposal, I will work for getting internship for Latinos and for African American students in the campus to have internship in Silicon Valley startups at least. I will start that just because you said I will take the responsibility to reach to my community and stand for them if you guys allow me to do that. So that being said, I am starting a project. The hats that you guys are seeing is representing my culture. I would like to have the Turkmen and Iranian handcraft being sold in American market. And right now, because of sanction, it's impossible to do that. And you saw some pictures. Would you like to describe? I mean, like, because this is like the other hands of the tourism. I mean, like, it's very hard to travel over to the world, but we can see the impact of the culture and impact of the country by selling the product that we daily buy on.
Can't you do it on Etsy or something like that? And can't you sell it from Turkey rather than Iran? Would that work?
It will be selling out my people. I can easily do that, and my lawyers and my people said, you can ship it from Turkey and not be in the same. But the point is, I would like to show that I would never forget the people in my country and leave them alone. That's why I'm.
But hopefully they get the profits, right? If they get the profits, you haven't left them alone.
That's one of the huge. I mean, like, see, this is a Turkmen. This is a Turkmen quote. And most of Turkmens in my region wouldn't wear this.
Right.
So
yeah, no, I understand.
The mental problem is what I was trying to tell you. I'm like, even the rich people in my region who become a doctor or engineer in my city don't want to wear this. And when you're not protecting that artist or that person, and then you end up with all of this fancy stuff coming from Turkey, from Germany, and that people have to die, and they cannot, you know, have this cycle and teach their art to the next generation. And America is the only place that I can easily say this and go against the American government policy. So I hope I also can have your support to do this, because you may not imagine, Cynthia, what's happening in my country because of the economical pressure and because of all of that stuff. And the region that I came from is a very diverse place. I hope one day you can travel there. It's the only place in the earth that we have a sea on the west, we have mountain on the south, we have forest on the east, and we have like a desert on the top. So by 45 minutes you can have all of these different.
It sounds
so
great.
I hope one day, without any pressure and without fear, I will have you and my teachers travel to my country. I brought one of my friends, very close friends, and I get in trouble just because she was American. So that's why I'm starting this project to show how globally we're connected.
Good.
And I'm hoping the Vida and you personally will support this project.
Sounds
good.
Do
you would like to add anything else in the...
No, unfortunately, I'm so sorry that I have a meeting I have to get at in just like 2 minutes. So, but thank you. It was really...
Thank you so much. We will have the podcasting, and I would really would like to have Cynthia in Turkey and have his experience and his knowledge given to all of the different communities.
Okay,
thank you so
much.
I will see you around. Take care.